Like Alon said, my name is George Agraz. My co-presenter, who's going to be on a little bit later, Eric Perez. We both work at a company in sunny California called Onestop Internet. And we are both involved in building the next generation of e-commerce websites using Orchard. So for anyone in this room who doesn't know who we are, we were a very early Orchard adopter. We launched our first site in 2011. We currently have 40-plus websites that involve Orchard. And the breakup is a little interesting. We have 13 mobile websites. We have 4 full desktop sites. And we're launching 3 more of them before Q3 this year. Our entire transactional email messaging system is currently in Orchard. And all of our newest desktop sites are fully responsive down to phone. So as we add more of our desktop sites, we're going to get more mobile sites. So the mobile number is going to go up, but they're not going to be dedicated mobile sites anymore. So and we have a lot of clients who we do high-end fashion. We do stuff that's very high touch, very shiny. And we were very excited when Orchard came along because we thought this is great. We're going to be able to use a CMS to service these clients because they ask for a lot of really intricate stuff. And so we asked ourselves, for CMS, like, what's the benefits of using a CMS for us? So enables user update of content. This is obviously the big one. We have a lot of marketing demands. We have people want to update their home pages, create new landing pages, special campaigns. And a CMS platform would give us the opportunity to give that work to the partner so they can turn it around very quickly. Standardizes content presentation. You want all your blog posts to kind of look the same. You want a lot of if you're going to be repetitive and generating a lot of content of similar kinds of stuff, you kind of want the formatting to look good, look good all the time. So that was a big plus for us. Make updates less engineering and more business driven. When I started at Onestop Internet, I did banner updates. I did nav updates. And we kind of wanted to get out of that business because content editors are a lot easier to find than engineers. And having engineers do those kind of tasks, we weren't really that keen on. So CMS, as we all know, has some good things and some bad things. CMS is great at customer content updates. You can basically train your customer, and they can go to town and pretty much put whatever content they want. Rapid content creation. If you're doing any kind of data entry, or you have a client who's going to roll out a big campaign, they can turn it around very, very quickly and actually create a lot of content in a very short period of time. And basically, what it sums up, we're empowering customers to manage and control their own web presence, which is something that we are very excited about. So a couple things not so great. CMS systems enforce conformity. All of your blog posts are probably going to look very similar because you're using the same kind of content type. Some people don't like that. So every once in a while, you're going to try to find a way to get around that. Standardization makes custom implementations hard. We have a lot of customers, clients, partners who want to do really crazy stuff. And we've set up this CMS for what they've told us they want. And 6 months, even 3 months down the line, they want to do something completely different. And we're just like, great, we just set up the system based on what you told us, and now you want something completely different. Custom content presentation can be difficult and expensive, so you've set up this great CMS system to standardize all your content and make it kind of look very professional and very uniform, and now you've got to just basically take that all apart. So that can be really painful. And essentially, you get the rapid content updates, but you get limitations on the type and forms that those updates can make. So that's the trade-off. It's been somewhat of a challenge with certain partners to kind of get them excited about the CMS, because then we had to figure out a way, well, how do we accommodate those really weird requests? So in the beginning, they really want this. This is what they want. They want something beautiful. They want something organic, and they want they'll come to you every 3 months and say, we want something completely different. You really want them to have this, like something very simple, something kind of standard, very pretty, but kind of we can do this. It's my 8-year-old nephew can paint this. This is fantastic. So how do you reconcile that challenge? And we've seen our customers, and maybe a couple of us have done some pretty scary stuff. This is my personal favorite. Shoehorning the content into the CMS, basically taking your entire page and copying and pasting it into the body field and making it work. Like, nobody wants that, but you open a page, and why is there like a style tag in the middle of my page? And like, why is there like JavaScript, like all, so sometimes we've seen people do this. Not so good. Markup hard-coded into the views. So, with Orchard CMS, you can create the layout view, you can create a content view. And if you really want to, you can take out all the zones and just basically put your content there. Works great, but you've just taken the CMS out of your CMS. So, you kind of just shot yourself in the foot in some ways. This is my favorite, editing your markup client-side using SEO tools. We have a couple of our sites running Optimizely, a couple of these fancy tools that you can go in there and remove nav items. You can go in there and add banners. And we've seen people use these tools as a CMS, which is kind of bizarre because we just gave you a CMS. So not sure what's going on there. And then this is my personal favorite, just ignoring your CMS entirely and having a creative department create a static HTML page. You prop all the assets, you put up a rare rule, and great, you're done. You just completely did it, not the way we wanted you to do it. So these are kind of some of the challenges, and we really just wanted to figure out a way to stop the insanity, because with all these custom pages and custom layouts, it got to the point where we were just, we were kind of reinventing the wheel every single time we had a new request. So this is our strategy to stop the insanity. We took all of our core functionality, which in our case is the e-commerce platform, product list page, shopping cart, all that stuff. We put those all into custom Orchard modules, so they're easy to maintain. They behave the way you're going to expect them to behave. We present all of this through the Orchard shape system, so we get all of the overrides, the customizability, because we do have a platform that we're deploying across 40 different sites, and everybody wants it a little bit different. So the really good separation of concerns of Orchard enables us to preserve our business logic very tidily in the middle tier, and then these one-off weird, we want to have the checkout spin around and jump up and down and do all this other stuff. We can accommodate you now. So we don't want to, but we can. And then for everything else, we're trying to build custom tools that we can say we're on the shelf for integrations and special projects. So in the past, we have built kind of fancier, more involved modules. We're moving more towards building very little components and kind of having stuff that our developers can mix and match. I tell people, if you want to use the car analogy, we don't build cars anymore on our team. We build engines, we build transmissions, we build the thing that makes the window go up and down. So our solutions implementation team and our maintenance team, they have all these great tools at their disposal to build the fabulous car that our customer is asking for. And it's our responsibility to make sure that these tools work. So we created something called, surprisingly enough, Onestop Layouts. So these were our requirements. We wanted to simplify design of pages by giving users control over the layout. And that sounds kind of obvious, but it can be actually very hard. There's always the question of how much control do you give your users, because they can do horrible things with it. We wanted them to be able to create detailed, complex pages without propping code. All of our environments, we have 4 separate environments for every website. So moving code across our environments is not difficult, but it takes more time sometimes than our customers would really like. And then layouts and content should be separate and reusable. So we wanted to kind of keep this idea of separation of concerns, so that if we created a layout, we could use it for a blog page, we could use it for a product landing page, we could use it for any number of things and not have to keep creating that layout over and over and over again. So here's what we implemented. We built a module that leverages the Orchard parts and fields to reuse the core Orchard functionality. So we're really not reinventing any more of the wheel than we have to. And as more Orchard goodness comes into the platform, all that stuff kind of shows up in our module for free. We did separate layouts and content. So you can combine them, you can reuse them. They're very easy to mix and match. And for our implementation, we actually have created this template idea, and then we bind them to a content type. So for our users, it's very easy for them to say, well, I want to make a new home page, so they can create a new home page. I want to make a new double column layout. I can create a new double column layout. So it kind of trying to keep it simple and not make it too complicated. So the other thing we do a lot of is slideshows. We have a lot of fashion clients. We have a lot of clients that have a lot of product photography that they want to showcase. And I'm sure all of you, anyone in this room ever not had to put a slideshow on a website? OK, this is right now, everyone on the internet, well, we want a slideshow. So here are requirements. This is a very common UI element on our sites. I think pretty much every site we have, and we have 40 plus of them, has at least one. We had 5 or 6 completely different implementations, different plugins, different libraries, homegrown, download off the internet, not supported, don't know where the guy went, doesn't work now, so that was kind of a challenge. We wanted one solution to make it easier for our engineers to implement it, as well as for our customers to use it. So we figured simple, make it easy. It also makes training of our staff as we move more of these functions away from engineering and into our partner operations, customer service. Training them once on one solution, better than trying to figure out which one are you using right now? Oh, okay, that's this document. We wanted one solution to rule them all. And above all, the ability to implement a slideshow without propping any code. So we built another module that leverages our template and layouts so that really, you can have very different functionality from slide to slide. You have multiple templates can run in a single slideshow, so you can have a slide with 2 panels, a slide with 3 panels, whatever they can come up with. We're pretty sure that we can make for them without having to prop stuff. Plugin selection, there are a couple plugins that we support. So for some reason, we had a customer that really was dying to use, Carafred Cell. We can accommodate you. And it's widely implemented across mobile and desktop sites. Pretty much every Orchard site we have that's customer-facing has at least one slideshow in it. So we use this a lot. So how about some demonstrations? We're going to have some layout fun. We're going to create a layout, create a template, and create a template page. So I'll show you guys how easy and fun it can really be. So we have a very simple site here. Get to it. Coming up. I have to kill it. All right, there we go. These fancy toys they have here at Microsoft. Where's my site? There it is. OK, so this is basically, you install Orchard. This is what you get. The only thing we did was we downloaded a theme out of the gallery. So anyone write the Bootstrap theme? Anyone here? Anyone? This is your handiwork. The only thing we have modified from the download is we've added a couple of custom CSS classes for some elements. But the layout, everything else is pretty much as you see it here. It's Bootstrap. So I'm going to the admin. The site is asleep because I was yammering on for too long. Very standard Orchard admin. On the left-hand side here, we have a couple things: layouts, templates, slideshow. So if I go into layouts, I have a couple of very simple layouts here, and I can make a new one. So we just go in and create a new layout. And when you're building a layout, the analogy that I like to use is you're putting, these are the shelves that you buy, and you're building the shelves to put all your stuff in it. The stuff is actually going to come out of your template and the content, but the layout is pretty much the structure of your page. So to go back to the Bootstrap metaphor, we can create a row, and then we'll put some columns in the row. So maybe this is and you have some some customization here. Put 2 columns here. So, and I've got my 2 columns, and it knows that it's a Bootstrap 12-element grid, so it's a span 6. You can pretty much leave most of this default, and then say you need to put in another row. Oh, we don't want that row there. Here. And then this row, we're going to have 6 elements. So you can get the idea that you can start to get very, very ornate with this. It knows it's span 2. So I'm going to show you actually a layout that we built for a site that we're going to launch later this year. So it's a little bit more complex. We can zoom in here, and you can see kind of some of the details. It's got a row of 6, a row of 2, a row of 3. It's got this funky row on the top. I have a span 8, I have a span 4. So we're going to have one element that's bigger than the other one. So this is something created entirely in software. If you want to move this from one environment to another, of this fabulous XML representation. If you're really good at it, you can actually write the XML and not use the tool, but I'm not that good. So this is all of your, describes all of the elements here. So this is kind of the representation of how the layout is saved. So we'll save it. So now that we've put up the shelves, we need to put some stuff on the shelves. So we go to templates, and we'll make a new template here. And the first thing you're going to want to do is, well, your template looks kind of sad and boring. So we're going to give it a layout. We'll pick a simple one. We'll do 2 columns. So and as soon as I save it, it's going to pull all of the, oh, I guess I need to name it something. So now I've saved it, and it's pulled my layout information in from the layout. So I have a row, I have columns, and then I have all these little bits and pieces that I can add to my template. So let's say we need an image, and maybe another image, and I'm going to put some text underneath that. And then you can also do a container. You actually have, you can do a content part, which gives you a whole list of fun things you can put in here. So all the parts that are currently active in your instance are available for you to try to put in here. So you can see, now that I've kind of abstracted my layout a little bit from my content, let's go and actually show you guys what a real template looks like. So get our homepage template. So it's a little bit more complex than my simple example. We have the first row up here has an image, and then inside a container we have some text elements. We have a link. The second column is also very similar. So this is very, and a lot of our sites are landing pages. We're trying to send SEO traffic somewhere else. So we have a lot of, you'll see images, you'll see links, and this is kind of the combination of stuff we build a lot of. And again, when I first started at Onestop, all of this was built by hand by Creative. So this is kind of a big step that we're now able to represent all of this in our CMS. Like with layouts, you can see an XML representation of your template. So we have all of this information. You can see there's default values you can put in. There's some classes you can override. So it's really a nice way to take that layout that you've created and have a couple different flavors of content for it. And we're trying to kind of steer our partners to really maybe only update the layout of their homepage a couple times a month. Some of them want to do it every day. And that's fine, because we have 6 canned layouts that you've built already. So if you want to use one of your old layouts, you don't have to talk to us. But it makes it really easy for us to build this stuff very, very quickly and turn stuff around much more expediently than we've been able to do in the past. And now the pièce de résistance is the actual homepage. So I've gone in here and basically, it's like a form. So you've basically now made this big form, and there's a map over here. So you can see everything's numbered. So like number 1 image is going to be over here somewhere. Then there's text. So it's basically, it's a form, and you can train an editor to go in and fill this out. And I've just put some random stuff in here, some images. And this is a very complicated, this is actually going to be the launch homepage for this customer. So it's a little bit more stuff in here than we would really like, but it's what they want, and we can do it. So we've given them all these different, these are probably going to be changed before they launch. These are the test images. So we have 42 elements on this page that we have put up for them, and I'll show you what it looks like. So you can barely see the here. Oh no, it's the wrong one. Sorry. So this is our home page. Again, we added a little bit of CSS to make these elements kind of look a little bit, more snazzy. But all of the elements are there that we've put in. This text is all in the CMS. They can change it. They can update these links. They can do whatever they want. And because it's Bootstrap, it's responsive all the way down to phone. So same experience, mobile, desktop, tablet, leveraging both the ease of content creation and the awesomeness of Bootstrap. So thank you very much for your awesome theme. We've used this, we've used this for training a bit. We're pretty much Bootstrap on all of our new sites because it just makes things so much easier. So this is layouts. And if that wasn't fun enough, I can go back to the. Let's have some slideshow demonstrations. So, and I probably have to go back here. So we'll go back to our slideshows. And remember, slideshows and is using the layouts and templates engine. So you probably want to build, we have a single panel template, a double panel template. They're very simple. One column, one image. We'll do 2 columns, 1 image in each column, so nothing super dramatic. And then we'll go into our slideshows module here. We already have one pre-configured, so I can show you guys what it looks like. You can see the link. So we've named it. We've given it a URL. It's a content item, so you can, if you want to make just the page, the slideshow, you can also take this and shove it into a layout. We can rearrange our slides. Actually, put this guy at the end. If you want to edit we can add a slide. So pick a layout that you want to use. You could use the homepage template, although I don't recommend it. Probably something a little bit simpler. So, and it's a form. So we have our 2 images. We'll go ahead and add some stuff in here. I've loaded some stuff to the homepage. This is our homepage. We'll do the slideshow instead. So we'll maybe put one of these guys. A little bit different. Save it. Now, back to my slideshow. I have 4 slides, and my slideshow. And obviously, you'll want to style these, based on what the rest of your site looks like. But I didn't prop any code for this. I just kind of sat down and created this last night. And then you can have, because it's a layout, you could put links in here. You could put call to action stuff in here. So it gets it has all the goodness of the layout and the templating engine. So you can make this pretty complicated if you wanted to. But most of the time, this is kind of what they want. Stylish escapes. They want some, and there's usually a link, which in the past we've had to kind of figure out how we're going to mount it in there. Just add a field, add a class. You make it look very much like the other layout elements that we've used. So that's a great summary of our 2 modules that we built. Both of them enable custom content without propping code, which is what we wanted. The layout and template engine is used in both to structure the page and arrange the content. Slideshows can be implemented as a standalone page. We've done them in widgets. We've done them as content parts. So they can, there's a lot of different options. And both of them achieve our goal of empowering customers to rapidly and quickly update the content on their site. And I do have a couple of shout-outs. I'd like to give a shout-out to Bertrand Leroy and to Ilan, who were instrumental in the first generation of this functionality. So it wouldn't be here without them. I'd like to give them a small round of applause. So this is the first component. The second component of our quest to reduce the insanity is all about theming. And I'd like to bring up Eric Perez to talk about our theming strategy.
All right. Thank you, George. So one-stop layouts and one-stop slideshow is definitely great additions to add to your Orchard toolbox. I want to talk a little bit more about strategies that we use with theming. I definitely want to say that I'm really happy to be here with a lot of these top contributors who are the rock stars of the Orchard community, who is making it all possible, and all of you Orchard ninjas who are continuing to push the limits of Orchard and see what it's all capable of. So we all run through challenges with creating lots of themes and trying to limit the amount of recoding we're doing. You don't want to have the same client or same site where the same features are going over and over again. You want to be able to reuse as much as you can. You want to be able to reuse as much as you can while still keeping unique content separate. So what we do for this is MasterChild Themes, a feature that's made possible with Orchard. Congratulations, it's a theme. So with Master Themes, this is where you're going to put all of your core functionality. This is where you're going to put your less files for your compilation. And it's going to be your centralized location for all of your features that you're going to be able to build in. If you have a bundler, this is also where it'll be able to compile it into the regular CSS. With the child themes, we put in the branded images and fonts. We add in the less files and variables that for each of the unique sites. So from here, you're able to reuse a lot of the main features, while all of the additional elements that make a site unique for that brand and for that customer a part of its child theme, making it so possible to multiply your efforts and your development in a much faster way. So there are some pluses and minuses to using MasterChild themes. It does speed up your development. It does allow for rapid code deployment and maintenance, and it makes it much easier to manage your code and your bug fixes. Because as you're going through and looking at issues that may pop up on a site, it most likely will be on your base feature set, and you're able to apply that change to the master theme, and automatically it'll be fixed on all the child themes, which are based on that master theme. The minuses to doing it this way is that one change does go to all your sites. It does increase the complexity of your overrides, because you will have your views sometimes overridden on the master level and sometimes overridden on the child level, depending on what that particular client is looking for. But a lot of times, you're able to really get the benefits of this and have very minimal additions on your child theme. Most likely just the images, the fonts, and some content customization. So let's put this theming into an actual challenge. And the challenge here that we faced was putting 12 sites into a new mobile platform and only having 2 weeks to do this. We had a third-party provider for mobile, and the contracts were terminating, so we're going to bring it all in-house. And in order to accomplish this, we could only do this with Orchard. So step 1, Orchard. Step 3, 12 sites. So the solution is Orchard. The decision we made was based on how a lot of our e-commerce platforms were already put into Orchard modules that we're able to build off of and utilize in each of these mobile sites. Once we had our master theme set up exactly how we wanted to carry out each of these mobile sites, we were able to just add in the custom branding, custom theming for each of these unique brands onto each of their child themes. So, Shazam! 12 websites in 2 weeks. It happened. I think this is something worth tweeting about here. Because out of that one generic master theme, we're able to create the 12 additional sites, all based on that master theme. We had a few content updates, a few branded images, some of the fonts, but the majority of the theming work was reusable for each of these sites. And just like that, Shazam as well, it was very easy to deploy because it was all based on this master theme, that once you had it out for the first site or first set of sites, you know it's out there, you know it's working. The next ones are merely customizing that. So here's kind of a layout of what we did with our acme.m, what we called our master mobile theme. And each of the child themes that came out of that were all simply bringing in the brand's unique designs, layouts, images. So the future, where we take this from here, is that we use the master themes to speed up our deployment and our build out But we continue to take from there, as we add more features to the master themes, anything that can be later brought into modules, we'll go ahead and bring it up to the module level. So we continue to try and add as much code reuse as possible, as well as any features that are very front-end heavy, keeping that on that master theme so that through the updates on the children theme, we can enable and disable various features that are already built in, already working, already live on other sites because of that master theme. So I just want to say that I feel that this MasterChild theme, it does depend on your situation. There are some pluses and minuses to doing it, so you have to look at your unique situation. But it does absolutely increase your speed of development and makes it much easier for code reuse. So with that, I wanted to bring George back up and kind of go over a little bit of Q&A on some of these features with Onestop Layouts, Onestop Slideshows, and our strategy of master and child themes.
Any questions from the audience?
The best part.
Go ahead.
Onestop Layouts and Onestop Slideshows will be released to the community this Wednesday, so you guys can all enjoy our fabulous modules on your own site. So hopefully you don't have to do the copy and paste all the HTML and all the other stuff that we've all had to do. So, awesome. Any questions?
Yeah, one question here. The layout, the user defined, does it overwrite the layout defined in the theme, theme.layout?
Mm-hmm.
Does overwrite that?
I'm sorry, I don't quite get it.
Because right now on the theme we have a layout.
Oh yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so the layout, the user defined, I want to know if that, overwrite that layout or it's.
No, the layout is basically we're taking that content zone and we're basically structuring content within that zone. So it's not, you're not overwriting layout files. You're not replacing any of that functionality. And that it's also another caveat, because then if you decide for some reason that you want to change from a 12 block grid to a 16 block grid, you've hard coded a little bit of that into your content, but hopefully not too much of it. But yeah, as far as like the layout shape, like this is operating entirely within the content zone.
When you do a master-child theme, do you do a master per client, or do you bridge among different clients?
For mobile, there was one master that was utilized for all child themes. In other situations, we'll have one master that's with a few similar structured sites, maybe 3 child themes to that particular master. But for mobile, it was the one master.
Okay, and these are for different customers of yours?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
In the example of where you create the template, there was a tab where you could see the XML.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if that was the only way to take that content across environments, or can you import and export via recipes?
We tried to do import-export last night. Any ideas?
Yeah, layouts and templates are content items, so they can be imported and exported. Mm-hmm. There might be bugs in there, I don't know. In principle, they're content items themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so the import and exporting methods have been implemented in the drivers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're because that's another challenge is as we deploy more and more sites on Orchard. When we had a file-based content system, which is basically like that HTML file, you could just prop everything across environments. And now we're really starting to look at how can we make moving the content, because we don't want people to experiment on their live site. We want them to experiment on a staging site. But then how do we figure out a way to take that content and move it from one environment to another on a schedule? Do we publish it something or input it and just don't publish it?
We had exactly the same issue just the past week, and we've done something similar, but nowhere near as good as that. So we'll be downloading that on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, typically what we've done in the past is live is a system of record. So we'll put content up there and we just, it's orphan content or you don't publish it, and then we'll sync it back to another environment, and then you can turn it on and see what happens. But we'd like to get to the point where we could just say, you're on stage, great, publish this homepage to the live environment, and just, magically goes across the internet and shows up on the live site. So we're actively looking for a solution for that.
we've kind of got one.
Awesome.
If
We
you
should
wanna-
talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll buy you a drink later. How about that?
Any more questions from the audience?
Do you also employ code reuse through less files from Bootstrap?
Yes. Basically, the way that our MasterChild themes are set up right now, it's all less. Like internally, it's all less. So the master theme will have the structure of the site, and the child theme will have like a variables.less, which basically plugs in colors and line widths and like some of the stuff that is kind of hydrates it and brings it to life. But we have an internal tool called a resource bundler, which on request takes all those less files and turns them into a regular CSS file. So internally, we don't really use .css files anymore. We're pretty much all less, but we needed a tool that could turn those things pretty much transparently into the CSS files when we're ready to use them. So yeah, so we're, and we do, there's a little bit of, I think there's a little bit of the Bootstrap variables that we do override on a per page sometimes basis, but we try to keep it as clean as possible. But sometimes, that's not possible with what your partner wants. So
those variables overridden on the child themes.
yeah, so we try to leave Bootstrap kind of as is, so that the basic implementation is always there, depending on where you are on the site. But every once in a while, yeah, we have to kind of make things a little smaller, make things a little bit bigger. But we try not to do that if we can.
From a maintenance standpoint, how much time has moved away from engineering to the clients? Have you guys measured that?
We have measured it. I don't have those numbers, but it's substantial. It has, because again, engineers are, harder to find than content editors. We have seen in our department certainly a greater focus on platform level stuff, a greater focus on new modules. There are metrics out there. It's substantial. It's substantial to the point where we're trying to figure out now, like, we have all these engineering hours that we give our partners, and we're kind of starting to run out of things to do because they're doing all this stuff themselves, and we want to take those back. So
That's huge.
yeah, so that's
I was there. That is
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, it's pretty substantial. It's good. That means we can do cool stuff. So.
More questions?
You talked about taking functionality that was baked into the master theme and moving that into modules. I guess it would be interesting if you could elaborate that on a little bit. Like, what types of things do you think make sense in the theme versus in a module? How do you decide that it's time to move something into a module?
Depends on the feature, but maybe a particular example is product page videos or full screen videos that you initially, for one client, build into a master theme to be enabled, turn on and off at the different child themes, but later want to add a little more functionality to it where you would want to be able to enable, disable it, turn on other settings, all managed through the admin portal. And for those reasons, you would kind of bring that up to the module level rather than keeping it at that master theme level.
Do you do settings on the themes, or if you want to customize things per child theme, you always do it in the child theme. You don't do it with settings on the master theme.
Admin settings, not really. Another good example is color pickers. On our product detail pages, we have, if you look on all of our sites, there's probably 5 implementations. There's like a pull down, there's like a color swatch list. So if we created a shape that powered that color picker and had 5 of those at the module level, then there would be like a product details, scaffold shape that you could pick. I want to install color picker 1. I want to install the swatches. I want to do this. I want to do that. So you're using the override, functionality of the theme to kind of bake those decisions in at the theme, because that doesn't really change very much. Like, we have our clients are very particular about how their sites look. So I don't see someone calling us up and say, you know what, I want to change my color picker, and I'm going to change it again tomorrow. Like, they don't really change those pieces that much. So we kind of, those things we're trying to we'll build 5 of them, we'll test them, we'll make sure they all work, and then when you guys are doing the implementation, pick the one you want. So that's kind of the strategy that we're moving towards. But like Eric said, there's product videos, we'll build something for a site, and we're like, wow, this is really good, and we kind of think that other people will want this, so we can pull that up to the module level, so it's not, so we have visibility to it as well.
More questions?
it's killer stuff. I love it. Just I want to make sure I understand what we're doing here. The layouts are sort of like super widgets, I guess, right? But you get this form quality of being. So I guess my question is, I can just plop them anywhere. If I only want a layout on a home page, that's the only place it goes.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, and there's a template. I mean, I didn't show you, but there's a template part that you attach to a content type. So you can, put that, if you want to do, like for slideshows, it's baked into the slideshow, but you could create blog posts and have those be layout driven. Yeah, you can put it wherever you want.
So as an Orchard developer, is it useful to think of that as sort of like a widget on steroids? Okay.
I think a more useful way of thinking about it is placement. It's kind of a replacement for placement. So it's in between placement and your content.cshtml template, so you can throw all that away and replace it with templates.
Since you guys have been working with Orchard for, basically since the beginning, I guess, what is your guys' strategy when you want to extend functionality of existing modules? There obviously with Orchard there's the blog module, there's the comments module. Have you guys run into a situation where the way the modules are packaged initially aren't sufficient to what your clients are trying to accomplish on their own blogs and own sites? What's your strategy for extending that function, reusing that? Because the base is pretty good, so I don't want to recreate the blog module, but I needed to do a bunch of other things. So I was just curious as to what you guys do to kind of overcome those scenarios.
It's an interesting question. I think it's a mix of things. If there are certain things that we need to override, like for action filters or for something, we have a module that we call it, I think it's called Onestop Common, and that's where we put a lot of the overrides for the base functionality. We try not to alter the source code. Like our core modules in our Orchard installation look pretty much like the ones you can download off the internet. We try to kind of, because if we start modifying that, then merging it becomes harder. It's like, well, Sebastian made this really great change to the output caching module. Yeah, we can't really take that because our module's all cut up. So we try not to do that very much.
Right. And I guess my question is exactly. So we don't want to first and foremost don't want to rewrite rewrite the module, and you reuse the functionality that's already there. But again, to extend maybe what it's doing. Trying to think of a good example.
There's a great example that we had a site that wanted to do job postings. They had jobs at their company, and they wanted to be, like anyone, hey, we've got, we're hiring summer interns, or we have a marketing director, and it was kind of it was something that we'd never done as a company before, because we've had a couple WordPress instances that we would manage for clients, but we kind of don't really want to do that because we don't really like WordPress. So we're like, great, we have a CMS, we can help you out. And it was really easy to just, we created a content type, we created a projection, we trained them how to use it. We didn't really have to, the only thing we had to prop was a little bit of CS HTML to kind of style the posts the way they wanted them to look. But the tools inside of Orchard are pretty powerful, and we're trying to kind of use the components that are there in an intelligent way, as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel every time. But we occasionally have to extend things. We occasionally, but we try the core stuff. We try not to mess with too much because it's already pretty good. And the whole point of using open source is to be able to quickly consume contributions from the community. And if we move more towards the closed source model, then we've cut ourselves off from that benefit. So we try not to do that.
And also definitely trying to give back to the community in terms of whoever developed that module. A lot of times, if it's something that is a great add-on that can be turned on and off, or maybe even a fix, it's better to try to post that back into a request so that it can get added onto the original module.
Is that it?
Any more questions? All right, thank you very much. That was awesome.